Now we're in the end of the year, and this is the moment when all of us, or majority of us, sit down and look back at the year and reflect and see, have I achieved those personal goals that I had? You know, in my career, in socially, whether it's in family, business, or whichever. We have this thing that we had this list maybe when we started the year, and we are like, this year I'll achieve this and that and that and that and that. And some of us probably feel like we've achieved something. Some of us probably feel like we've not achieved as much as we wanted to achieve. Personally, I am there. I have achieved, but I have not achieved as much as I hoped that I'd achieve. And some of us may feel like we've not achieved anything. In any case, probably we've lost something. The Bible says in the book of Colossians chapter 3 from verse 1, it says, therefore, if you have been raised with Christ to a new life, sharing in his resurrection from the dead, keep seeking the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind and keep focused habitually on the things above, the heavenly things, and not on the things that are on the earth, which have only temporal value. So sometimes we need to recalibrate how we view things. We need to recalibrate that list and actually look at ourselves and see, am I a better person than I was when the year began? Through the issues that I've gone through the opportunities that I've gone through the year, am I a better person? Because sometimes I feel like God has a list in heaven, where when us we have this list of, I want my business to grow to the next county. God has this list where he says, I want this person to grow, to be more loving. I want this person to grow, to be more patient by the end of the year, And we set out during the year. God, he starts his own initiative upon our lives. We also have our own initiatives upon our lives where we pursue that business goal, and God pursues our own personal goal. And at the end of the day, sometimes we have these disappointments, and we feel like we are actually losing when God is actually looking at us and is thinking, now you are gaining. Because now at the end of the year, you're more patient. Maybe God hooked you up with a friend or a relative or a colleague who's difficult to work with, and you had to learn how to love them. You had to learn how to meander through their issues and work with them. Sometimes it is kindness. Maybe you went through an issue that you didn't expect, and at one point maybe you never ever saw yourself borrowing money or borrowing someone something, and now God put you in a tight spot whereby you found that you have to borrow. And this was maybe to humble you so that you can also be kind-hearted. Maybe initially probably you're the kind of person who wouldn't help people. But now after being helped, now it has humbled you. So at the end of the year, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, am I a better person than I was when the year began? The Bible says in the same book, Colossians chapter 3, verse 10, it says, and have put on the new spiritual self, who's being continually renewed in true knowledge in the image of him who created the new self. So at the end of the day, we are always constantly being renewed to be more and more like Jesus Christ, to actually reflect the image of Jesus Christ to this earth. So sometimes when we start the year, God will check and see, what do you need? Maybe you need boldness. And if you need boldness, God is going to bring opportunities to you, which actually you'll think to yourself, I cannot do this. I don't have the guts to do this. I don't have the guts to stand in front of people and talk. I don't have the guts to lead that company, that group. And God puts that opportunity so that he can create in you a boldness, so that he can kill that timidity, because the Bible says he did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So at the end of the day, we should look at this year, not in terms of the world, in terms of how much have I gained, how much have I earned this year, how much is how much has my business grown this year? How high have I climbed up the career ladder? We shouldn't check things in that way. We should actually check all those issues and those opportunities in ways of what have these opportunities and issues brought in my life? What have they created or birthed in me? Have they birthed maybe some sense of wisdom? Maybe you made a mistake, and from that mistake this year you learned something, so you're wiser. Have they created some bit of peace? Maybe this is the moment when things fell apart at some point this year. Things fell apart in your life, and you learned how to go deeper in God and dwell in His presence, and learn to dwell in His peace. So you got to taste the peace of God that the Bible says that the world cannot understand. That when things seem like they are falling apart in your life, you are still peaceful. You're still full of joy. And at the end of the day, maybe God brought you out of that issue, or He is going to bring you out of that issue, because what He wanted you to learn, you've learned, and that is peace. Maybe God wanted you to learn forgiveness, and He brought those people who you need to forgive back to your life. And you are actually asking yourself, why do I keep on bumping on this person? I try to avoid them, but they keep on coming to my perimeter. And that was because God had to make you learn how to forgive that person and let go of what they did. Sometimes it's actually you who made a mistake, and you actually had to ask people to forgive you. And that is because you needed to learn that thing of, I want to be forgiven, I desire to be forgiven, so that when someone hurts you or someone does something wrong to you, you can actually understand that they also desire to be forgiven, and so that you can learn to forgive them. So it is good to check this here and see, according to this here, according to the list of God, not my list, according to the list of God, of the heavenly things, how much of God's image, how much of Christ's image have I gained during this year? So don't be discouraged about about the physical realities, maybe if you've lost something, and don't be proudful or prideful of the physical realities if you have gained so much this year. But instead, how much of Christ do you have in your life right now? This is Frank G. Minor, blessing you with a word.